How you doing, Samantha? I just met you today.
Yeah.
And I met up with Freitas and Vox. You told me some pretty incredible stories.
I have a lot of stories. So.
I've kind of been doing this homeless thing for a year.
Right.
I know you've experienced homelessness.
Yeah.
You're kind of
so this is the longest stint that I've been homeless. I'm approaching going on 16 months in a couple weeks. It's been really, really hard. I didn't ever expect it to last this long. The last couple times I've been homeless, it's lasted maybe a couple months before I found stability. And when I became homeless most recently, it was kind of a shock. My landlord jacked up my rent, sold the building, and I had also lost my scholarship money from school I ended up having to drop out of school because of that. And then I've been dealing with a lot of health issues. I had just completed chemotherapy when I became homeless. Thank goodness I was not still doing chemo, because that would have even sucked even worse. But 2 weeks ago, I just got diagnosed with stage 4 brain cancer. I went through chemotherapy for cervical cancer, and it apparently just migrated up to my brain. So deal with a lot of health issues. I also have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, so my bones and joints come out, I guess you would say. And that makes life really hard. Not having a bed to sleep in has been hard, especially because some of my medical conditions require me to lay down, and it's not socially acceptable to just lay down anywhere. So I think that's been kind of a struggle for me. And then in 2020, I had a stroke, and the left half of my body became paralyzed. So I just stopped working, and my left side's not that strong anymore. I'm doing physical therapy, occupational therapy, all the therapies. But dragging around my suitcase with half my body not working properly, super difficult. But I think the way I'm able to keep it be optimistic is that every morning I wake up and I'm still alive. And if I'm alive, then that means that there's a reason for me to be alive. And so I try to, spread as much good as I can. A couple ways I do that is I teach an art class at Women's Lunch Place.
Okay.
And then I also am a massage therapist, and I volunteer giving chair massages to the women that come to Women's Lunch Place. Especially because I now know how hard it can be on almost women's bodies. It makes me feel so much better, giving chair massages to the women who are homeless. And I don't just limit it to regular chair massages. Sometimes I'll have some women come in, they'll take off their shoes, I'll massage their feet. They walk all day. I know this because I walk all day. And so that's one of the ways that I kind of give back while I'm also, still seeking services. It's sort of my way of paying back the place that is helping me.
So I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
I'm gonna say that I was talking to you today, and your story it was really hard. It's with the health issues, staying outside,
it is really hard.
This whole year and seeing what I've seen, it really tore me up. It was. I had all these it was hard. It was a hard thing. I just can't even fathom how people would not have shelter in this state. We talked about that.
It blows my mind. For 6 months, every day I called the numbers and entered the shelter lotteries. Not once did I get in. I gave up after 6 months. I was like, this is pointless.
Yeah, you literally got to beat the doors down around here.
I'm
you gotta show up every day.
Right in the world.
You gotta get to the plate.
And honestly, the resources in Boston kind of are more word of mouth. So I started going to Women's Lunch Place because my sister actually volunteered there. And she's like, hey, have you tried going to this place? I'm like, where is this place? And like, if you're going down Newbury Street, you would never see it. It's tucked away in a basement. And there's barely any signage. I had no idea where to go initially. And I think my sister, like, kind of actually guiding me to where I was supposed to go, helped me, like, kind of put my foot through the door. And then I met some wonderful people and found a lot of resources that I desperately needed because I'm very poor. I also found through them the Boston Healthcare for the Homeless, and they've helped kind of cut through the red tape with getting into my specialist. So like they advocated for me to get a sooner neurosurgery appointment than the one that I was originally scheduled for. They were like, hey, she really needs this. And they like cut through that red tape for me. So like I waited, prior to this, I had waited 2 years to see a neurologist. I had brain cancer, like 2 years. Who knows how much it grew since then. But they were able to like get me into a doctor sooner. But a lot of the other resources are definitely word of mouth. Like we went to dinner tonight. I had no idea. This is my first time. I've been homeless for 15 months. This is the first time I've been there.
Oh yeah, they're all over. They're all over the commons.
They're everywhere.
Like
a
different place every single night. Yeah, I know. It's so confusing, right?
The first half of me being homeless, I would say I spent mostly in Cambridge. And I am familiar more with Cambridge resources. When I first became homeless, I was in Watertown. Watertown sent me to Cambridge, and then Cambridge didn't have enough resources, so I came to Boston.
Well, it seems like you're starting to get some headway.
I am, sort of. I was so close to getting housed. I was number 67 in line for housing in Cambridge. And I'm also a professional artist. You know, I teach art classes, so obviously I know kind of what I'm doing. But I'm a professional gallery artist. I have art in several galleries in Cambridge. And I presented the Cambridge Housing Authority with my employment contracts from all these galleries. And they flat out rejected them and told me in an email that they do not consider my art to be work.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. So I contacted a state representative and we'll see how things go. I'm a little bit optimistic. I've seen my number go from 67 to 25,000, and now it's down to 800. But that's still not good enough. Been homeless for 15 months. We'll see. But Cambridge Housing Authority flat out discriminated against me because they don't consider professional artwork to be work.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's such a uphill battle getting like housing and things, and like you're obviously a person that, you know, I think more than qualifies to have a place, needs a place.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with stage 4 brain cancer, the outlook is generally 7 to 10 months. I would love to not die on the streets. That I think is right now one of my bigger fears is like, I'm just going to die on the streets and like never have been housed.
Yeah, and it's like that. It's a heartbreaking. Like it's, you know. So we'll definitely stay in touch. I have your email.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to know like what the outcome.
Yeah, absolutely. Is. And I think I sent you some of the Cambridge resources that I was sent. And if you feel like you need to share that with anybody, feel free to.
Yeah, and like we talked, and I give you like loads of advice on how to approach people that work in social services and how to find those services. So I'll keep kicking you over information about that. It's just one of those situations, you know, where it's just heartbreaking, and it blows my mind that people who
our drug addicts and alcoholics can get housing before the everyday normal person can.
And then that has been like with the rapid rehousing. That's been a big thing, like getting people with addiction issues housed and like, yeah, but yeah, it doesn't make sense.
If you are
you need housing.
If you're a single woman who's not pregnant and doesn't have kids, you get kicked to the last of the line. There's only about 200 shelter beds in the greater Boston area for women. Like, what in the world? There's more than that who come to Women's Lunch Place every single day. And that's just one shelter. I mean, there's other women's day shelters too. There's one in Cambridge, and you know, to see that there's so many women who are homeless and there's not that many shelter beds, and they do daily lotteries, and still, if you're not there and signed in before noon, which I can't do because I have doctor's appointments, you don't get a shelter bed.
Yeah. I know it's well, tell me a little bit about, like, because I've noticed, like, you know, like you do one thing that I learned from another homeless person in the beginning, and it was been a lifesaver for me, like, the whole year. So tell me, like, a little bit about some of, like, the ways that you stay comfortable staying outside, finding friends like Freitas, and finding people, and, like, building that community, and, like, making the best out of the situation.
Right.
Because I can tell you're a person that is good at that.
Yeah, absolutely. I have an air mattress that I sleep on. So that makes it a little more comfortable. With my condition, my bones and joints dislocate in my sleep.
Yeah.
So I may wake up and my body be mangled and so to make it a little more comfortable, I have an air mattress, and I also have a full-size pregnancy body pillow. That takes up about 75% of my suitcase. So I travel with a suitcase and a backpack. I also am fortunate enough to have a storage unit. It's forever away, but I only pay $45 a month for it. And I just budget that into the money that I get every month to have a storage unit, so that I don't lose, like, my artwork or my art supplies. And then I also am able to alternate what I wear, and I bring a laundry basket and do laundry once a week.
Tell the people how much you make for disability.
Yeah, so I'm on emergency disability money from Massachusetts, and I get $400 a month. $400 a month does not go very far. Yeah, it does not go very far. I've lived on $400 a month for the last 3 years. I applied to Social Security Disability. They are still in step 3 of 5 on my initial application. I did manage to get, with the help of an advocate, 6 months of temporary disability. So if you write a letter to the Social Security Administration and tell them your situation, especially if you're homeless, they can give you 6 months of payments. That's all they're authorized to give you. You don't have to pay it back if you don't get approved, but you can get 6 months of payments if you're struggling with disabilities and waiting on your application to go through.
Okay, well,
so that was helpful.
That's something.
They call it presumptive disability. And it's, you know, given to people who are struggling to make ends meet, who are homeless, or it's very clear that they need money and are also going to get disability. You know, obviously I'm probably going to get approved. Can't imagine all of my health issues that I wouldn't get approved, but we'll see.
Well, I hope that they do the right thing and they take care of you. My heart breaks for you. And I guess, like, my big question is like, what advice? Because, like, you know, you're such an upbeat person.
Yeah.
You got, like, a real positive outlook. You know, like, you're a forgiving person. You
right.
know, like, you definitely have a lot of compassion. I've seen that. You know, and, like, if anything I wouldn't want is to see you out here in the street. But I know you do the best you can and you make the best of it. What advice do you have to give to other people that might end up homeless on the street?
I would say talk to the other homeless people, because homeless people have this sort of community, and don't be afraid to initiate conversation. You know, you're not going to find out where dinner is if you don't talk to someone. So don't be shy. For the most part, homeless people are generally really friendly and are just down on their luck and want to help other people. You know, they want to show the world kindness, even though it's not showing it kindness to them. So don't be afraid to talk to people. It's intimidating at first. Also, like, be consistent in showing up places. The more you show up somewhere, the more you get recognized and are able to network. Don't be afraid to ask for things. Like, if you need deodorant, ask somebody, because you can get things. You just have to ask for them. And I know that's really hard for a lot of people who are not used to having to ask for things and just are able to provide for themselves. But generally, if you're homeless, it's because you don't have very much money. And if you don't have much money, then you can't pay for things like toiletries and clothes. But if you ask, somebody will help you.
Okay. So just ask. You know?
Yeah.
Talk to people, ask, and thou shalt be given.
Yep. Yeah. And be consistent. Just show up.
Never give up. Keep trying.
Yeah.
All right, I love it. All right, so we got a big truck over here. It's super loud. But I really want to thank you, Samantha.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't thank you enough. I wish the best for you. I hope that you're able to find a place and
hopefully
you get the treatments you need. You know, I know like a lot of people will probably respond to this video, so I'll give you all the information for that too.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.